my name's Maisie. I'm going to take you through a foolproof recipe today for a really light and fluffy pavlova. Toppings are really diverse, but I'm going to add grapefruit as it's in season, a white chocolate ganache and a mint sugar. Okay, so now we're going to get on with pavlova, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to start off with our eggs. So we just want the whites, so I'm just going to separate them. You can separate them however you like, but I personally find this is the easiest way, just because I'm a bit cat-handed, as you can obviously see. I'm using 4 eggs in total in this recipe. Also, don't waste your egg, don't throw away your yolks. They can be used for really great crumble glazes, or just enriched doughs, things like that. Or they make really good glazes actually as well. Also, you want to try and avoid getting yolk into your whites, as it can weigh down your whites and kind of stop your pavlova or meringue being as light and fluffy as it possibly could be. Okay, so I'm not going to throw these away. These will go in the fridge for later. So now I'm just going to wash my hands. I'll be back. Okay, wash my hands now. But anyways, most recipes you don't really know if they call for small eggs or large eggs. So it's just so much easier to weigh out your egg whites, because then you know exactly the amount of sugar you need, as all you need is double the amount of sugar than you have of egg whites. So for example, I've got 136 grams of egg whites here, and then I'm going to need 272 grams of sugar. Mental maths, always good at that. Anyways, okay, I'm using caster sugar. You don't really want to use another kind of sugar for a pavlova. Well, you could do, but this works best, especially for a classic French meringue. That's what we are doing. Right, so now I'm going to whisk my egg whites to stiff peaks. And I have used cold fridge eggs because they're the most stable, they have the most stable structure. But also you want your bowl to be as clean as possible, because you don't really want anything weighing down your egg whites. So now we're going to whisk these to stiff peaks before we do anything else. And I will show you what stiff peaks look like in a second. Okay, that literally took all of a minute, but I'm sure you guys have better things to do with a minute of your life than to see me whisk egg whites. So to know that you've reached the stiff peak consistency, all you need to do is take your whisk, and you can see that they're not moving, they're holding their shape. That is stiff peaks for you. Okay, so our next step is we're going to add our sugar. So I can't remember the amount of sugar I've got here, but it's double the weight of the egg whites. But I'm not just going to add it in all at once, because then that would just kind of deflate and weigh down my egg whites, and it wouldn't be a really flat, light and fluffy pavlova. So what we're going to do is add in the sugar tablespoon by tablespoon. So we're going to add in a tablespoon, whisk it for about 5 seconds, and then do that again, and just repeat that process until you've added all your sugar. So this is the kind of structure that you're after. It's quite pearlescent, and it's kind of holding its shape. And a good little trick you can do to test that it's done is to stick it over your head, not moving. Good. And yeah, stick it over your head, and if it stays, you're good. So if I was just making normal meringues, this base would be fine, but because I'm making a pavlova, I want it to be quite mallowy and soft in the middle. So therefore I've got a teaspoon of corn flour here, and a teaspoon of white wine vinegar, and the corn flour helps the centre to become really mallowy, and the white wine vinegar will just help stabilise the egg whites. So I'm literally just going to add those in, and whisk them in completely, and then we will be ready to shape the pavlova. Okay, so now we're going to shape pavlova, but what it's really helpful to do, so obviously have your prepared baking tray with your baking parchment on top, but I'm also going to put a dot of my mixture into each corner, as it just helps the parchment to stay in place when you're trying to shape them. Now I'm just going to shape mine into a really simple, circular, quite classic Pavlova. But I've done like crowns before, they work really nicely. But what you need is a dip in the middle to kind of hold all your toppings, and it makes a really nice centerpiece. Okay, so I literally kind of plop all my mixture into the middle, and then I'm just kind of starting to spread it out really lightly. It's not a perfect circle, as you can see, but I'm just trying to make sure that there's some height, some extra height on the end, or on the edges of the Pavlova, and that I'm creating that dip in the middle to hold my ingredients. This is going to take about an hour or 60 to 75 minutes in a preheated oven, so you want to put it on the lower third shelf, or the lower third of your oven, and cook it at 120 degrees Celsius for a fan oven, or 140 for a conventional oven. See you in a bit. So now the Pavlova has gone into the oven, I'm going to get on with preparing my toppings. So we're going to do the white chocolate ganache first. I've got 100 grams of good quality white chocolate here, and I just heated through 150 ml of double cream. I'm going to pour that over the white chocolate and just leave it there to kind of melt and do its thing. Right, and I've also got another 150 ml of double cream here that I'm going to lightly whip as well, just to go on top. And I've also got my grapefruit. So I'm using one, but you could use two if you wanted to. No, it doesn't matter what colour grapefruit you're using. And I'm just going to cut that into small segments, or into like small thin strips. You can cut it however you like. It's just kind of there to add some kind of bitter and acidic notes, because everything else is quite sweet. And then I'm also going to make my mint sugar, where I've got 50 grams of granulated sugar and my mint. So as you can kind of see, I've prepared most of my grapefruit, but the most important thing is to remove the peel and the pith. The pith is the white bit that you get just coating the fruit, or the inner fruit, and it's really bitter and it's not very nice, to be honest. So you want to try and remove as much of that as you can. Okay, now I'm going to do the rest of that later. And now I'm going to move on to the mint sugar. So this will just kind of lift it a bit, make it really nice and fresh. I've just got a small bunch of mint here that I've washed. I'm just going to chop it up really roughly, and then I'm going to put it in the pestle and mortar along with my 50 grams of granulated sugar, and then just crush it up. It hasn't got to be perfect, but it's just to kind of bind them together, and then I will show you the finished product when it's done. Okay, so it took about 60 minutes in the oven, and it's fully cooled now. You can kind of tell when it's done when it pulls away from the paper, and when you scratch it, it's quite hard. It's got a hard shell. So I'm going to start with my toppings now. So I'm first going to put on my 150 ml of lightly whipped cream. I haven't sweetened this cream just because I have got quite, like, my other toppings are fairly sweet, so the white chocolate and also the mint sugar, but you can sweeten the cream if you'd like, and I'm just going to put that over. And I would assemble your Pavlova on whatever you're going to serve it on. I quite like just serving it on its cooling rack, to be honest, and its baking paper. Then I'm going to put a little bit of my ganache on, but not all of it. Okay, grapefruit going on next. Just tear it up. I have pre-sliced it, but I actually think tearing it up will give a slightly nicer effect. Then I'm going to go on with some more ganache. Finally, going to finish with the mint sugar. And it's always good to sprinkle things from a height, because you get more even coverage, rather than if you do it from low down, it's just kind of going to hit in one spot. my grapefruit white chocolate ganache and mid sugar pavlova. Ta-da!